Welcome back. In this video, we are going to see how to create a dynamic backend XML firewall. So this is little bit advanced, simple advanced XML firewall we are going to create with dynamic backend activity. So before creating XML firewall, I have wrote a small XSLT which is going to be routed using the variable. So let me open the XSLT and explain you. This is the XSLT, the simple XSLT I have written. Basically, I can able to paste this in the URL content. You can copy the XSLT and save it as XSL. So I call this XSLT as a simple backend x.xsl, not XSLT. It should be XSL. So this is the simple XSL. I have a here dp colon set variable. It starts with prefix dp means it's data power specific style sheet operations or style sheet functionality. So dp colon set variable, the name, I am setting the variable context backend router. So based on this variable, for this variable, I am assigning the value for the target web service. The target web service URL is the weather the web service ex.com slash global weather.asmx. So the primary reason I am using this is the this web service the previously we have saw it has some problem. So I am trying to utilize the other web service here, the second one. So we are going to utilize this one. So go to your SOAP UI and right click new SOAP project and go based on your weather web service visual search. Click the second one and copy the URL and paste it here, so it will be created for you. So basically, once this created, get weather, double click on the get weather. You can able to say the country name United States and my city name is Pittsburgh. Once I am hitting the request, this is the actually it's going to the service and it returns the response back, which is the today's date, and temperature is 9 Fahrenheit, which is 12 minus 12 degrees Celsius. It seems to be it's pretty the real time data it returns compared to the previous one what we saw in a simple XML firewall. So we can able to use this in the upcoming tutorial. So now we are going to make this XML firewall as a dynamic XML firewall. So we will try and create the new dynamic backend XML firewall based on the accessibility. So we go here in data power and click on the XML firewall. Click add wizard. I can say let it be a pass through, we can change it later. My firewall name is, I will say, simple dynamic. You can say, you can follow this standard for your URL for the naming convention, dynamic underscore firewall, simple dynamic firewall. Click next and it asks what is the static. As of now it don't see a dynamic backend, so select loopback. We will change it later as a dynamic backend. Here the data port device and IP, go and choose the inbound, which is the 22. The 22 IP I will tell you, and this is the port. That's fine. 2052. We are not going to configure any SSL. That's fine. Go next. Then commit. So your XML firewall will be created. Now we need to do a couple of changes here. Save config first. Go to you created XML firewall, which is simple dynamic firewall. Here we need to change this as a dynamic backend. so that it's actually go and call the backend dynamic. And also, instead of pass through, if you select pass through, I told you the processing policy will not be executed. So instead of pass through, select the SOAP request. Because we are going to send the SOAP request, and leave the response type should be passed through, because we are getting the response type with some C data. So leave it as it is, pass through. So whatever the response coming from backend, we don't need to worry about. Let the response comes to the go back to the client. Then click on the processing policy. Now you can see the firewall has been created. If you see the action, its URL matching action is star, which means it could be any URI. If you see the star URL match, which means it could be any URI, but we don't really need to look at this time. Our intention is to dynamically route it to the backend. So drag and drag transform action here. Double click the transform action. Um, Transform with XSLT style sheet local. You can upload the file you have saved it in your local desktop, which is the simple backend.xsl. Upload it. Click continue. So if you see here, what's where we are routing it, variable context backend router. So remember this context backend router. That context backend router variable has the real URL. So we need to route based on the URL. We need to route based on the routing variable. So drag and drop advanced action here. Double click that and scroll down. Select route using variable. Click next. So here we are going to route it based on the variable. Select where, and here variable builder you can select context backend router. That's what we mentioned here. So this is context backend router set for the variable. The remaining things leave as it is. The one critical thing is, if you need to see here, this is input action is for this is going to be a pipe. The input is input, the output is dp underscore variable 1. If you double click it, the output is going to be dp variable 1. That's okay, we will leave it. If you see here, there is no input and output for this action, but if you click here, the output of the transform XSL transform action is going as an input. The result action is the actual action is going to call the backend service. So in the result action, you have to actually mention what is the exact message you are going to pass it to the backend. So we are not needed this dp underscore variable which needs to be go to the backend. We need the actual input which is coming as part of the request, which is coming from the client. So that request needs to be go to the backend. So save done. If you don't do this, you will be getting the error. Then apply policy and close window. Make sure everything's okay. Then let's see apply policy. Save config. So this I told you inbound. This is the inbound URL public IP. So copy this IP. Um, Basically, you don't need to copy. I am copying because basically this is my data power setup. I am going to SOAP UI. So I am going to create here add a new endpoint. So here I am going to paste my the inbound URL IP. I think the port is 2052. Let's confirm one more time. The port is 2052, right? Colon 2052. Click OK and leave the remaining things as it is, because there's some URL rewrite should be happen. We will discuss this in upcoming advanced topics. So now I am going to pass this request to the SOAP request to the data power. Data power will dynamically take this to backend URL and get the response from the backend. So let's see how it's working now. I'm submitting, it's coming back. Greater Bitsburg International. So you can change the city if you want, and still it's going to data power. For example, I will show you how to check this. Go here and show probe and enable probe, close. So once probe is enabled, you can go and change the city as Chicago, something like that. Okay, so try now. So it's going to Chicago and it's giving you the error, the temperature and all the details. And go here in the probe window, refresh it. You can see the incoming URLs coming from, this is the 85, this is the data power inbound IP address on 2052, and the outbound is going to the outbound URL. So once you validate it, disable this and close this, because if you don't turn off the debug probe, your data power will be heavily loaded with unnecessary logs. So this is what the simple exercise. I will upload the code in that data power video. You can able to do the exercise on your own data power box. Otherwise, if you don't have access, in my previous video I told you where you can able to get the access. Thank you for your time. I will get back to you on another video.